سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, firstly thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again. Allah has granted us the tawfiq and the ability to have performed our Maghrib Salaah with Jama'ah. Alhamdulillah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our Salah with Jama'ah. When we make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us sincerity and istiqamah. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الرَّجُلْ يَعْتَادُ الْمَسَاجِدِ فَاشْهَدُوا لَهُ بِالْإِيمَانِ. That indeed when you see a person regularly attending the masjid, performing his salah in the masjid, that indeed that is a person who Allah says, Rasul sallallahu says that bear witness that is a person of true iman. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. This evening, inshallah, we start a very beautiful surah of the 30th juz, actually the last two surah, and also better known as the Mu'awwadatain, the two protectors, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. This evening, inshallah, we'll do Surah Al-Falaq. And as an introduction, the Mufassirun has mentioned that this surah was revealed, as I mentioned, Surah Falaq and Surah Nas was revealed at the same occasion. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he writes and he says that the blessings and benefits of Surah Al-Falaq is abundant, a tremendous benefit in it. And he mentions they are very effective, it's a very effective remedy against sorcery, magical spells, evil eye and hasad, and also physical calamities. So he mentioned that this surah or these two surah, in the reality, if people really understood the importance of these surah, the greatness of these surah, it should be more important and more valuable than their own breath, their own food, and own water that they drink. So important it should be, says Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, if we really understood the virtue and the importance of these two surah. And these two surahs we recite many times in our salah. We recite these surahs in our salah. And some of the virtues in a hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, that is, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha says, whenever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would suffer any ailment, whenever he would experience any sickness or any ailment, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas, would blow it in his hands and he will wipe it over his body or over the part that is affected. Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha also mentioned when Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced his final moments and with the last sickness, when he went through tremendous pain, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Aisha radiallahu anha used to recite the Mu'awwadatain. She would recite it and she would blow it, instead of blowing it in her hands, she would blow it in the hands of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And she mentioned because her hands could not take the place of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so she would blow it in the hands of Rasulullah and he would wipe it over his body, that part that was affected with pain. So here we learn that the Mu'awwadatain, it is a means of, it brings relief, it is a means of shifa, cure for any pain or ailment we feel. And Nasa'i also recorded Ibn Abbas that he says that it is mentioned that from the greatest protection a person can ask Allah protection by is these surah. Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. And that's why it is known as the Mu'awwadatain, the two protectors. And this is ultimately the, as some Mufassirun has mentioned in Surah Al-Falaq, it speaks with the outer challenges and the outer harms a person might face. And where Surah Al-Nas deals more closer with the internal harms a person might go through. In Surah Al-Falaq, and as we've mentioned, the cause of revelation, just briefly I want to read through what was the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayat with this surah. As this mentioned, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam became very forgetful. In some narration mentioned Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam became so forgetful that he would believe, or he would imagine that he'd spent time with his wives or he'd intercourse with his wife, when the reality was he never spent time with him. So this was something unusual. It bothered Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he became forgetful. And he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asked Allah for assistance and guidance in this matter. And then Ibn Kathir rahimahullah mentions that one evening Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to sleep. And he woke up and he addresses his beloved wife, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha, And he says, "Oh Aisha, that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me and Allah has responded to and answered me regarding the concern I had." And then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the narration mentioned, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions now, Allah sent a dream to Rasulullah. And the dream says, Rasulullah, two men came to me, and one of them sat by my head, while the other sat by my feet. So in the dream, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam seeing these two men, one by the head and one by the feet, and they're having a conversation, and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is listening to the conversation. The one sitting by the head said to the one by the feet, "What do you think? What is the matter with this person? What is wrong with him?" And the one by the feet responded that no, he is definitely bewitched, meaning some sihr or some magic, someone put a spell upon this person. And then the one again asked that how did this happen? So the one by the feet responded, no, this happened because of the hair Rasulullah used to use to comb his hair. They took this Jewish person who pretended to be a Muslim, was from the Munafiqun. He took this hair of Rasulullah and he tied knots to it. And then he took this hair that he tied knots to Rasulullah and he made this magic over the hair of Rasulullah and he placed it hid it in a well under in a dried bark tree of a palm tree. And then this was shown to Rasulullah clearly in this dream, or explained to Rasulullah clearly in this dream, and Rasulullah was listening to all of this. And then when Rasulullah woke up, and this is when he said to his beloved wife, Sayyidina Aisha, this is what I saw in the dream. I need to immediately go to this well, and I need to go and see. And Rasulullah went, and like he saw in the dream exactly, Rasulullah found his hair that was tied. And this is the occasion where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these two surahs of the Quran. And as Rasulullah recited these surahs, the knots untied. And Rasulullah was cured from this evil, from this magic. And the beautiful part of the hadith is at the end of this hadith. Now that Rasulullah was cured, and Allah has protected him from black magic and from the spells of this evil, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha, she says to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that, Ya Rasulullah, will you not make this public? Will you not make this public? Meaning, mustn't we expose this person who done this to you? Mustn't we tell the others of what he has done? And then look at the response of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, Amma Allah faqad shafani wa akrahu an uthiru ala ahadin min al-nasi sharran. Rasul sallallahu responded, he says, Allah has cured me, and I'm thankful to Allah for curing me, and I hate to spread the news of wickedness of any of the people. Imagine Rasul sallallahu covered this mistake that was done directly upon Rasul sallallahu, this evil that was done upon Rasul sallallahu by this person who has done the evil. Rasul sallallahu says, I'm not going to expose him. Allah has cured me from it, and I don't want to expose him. I don't like to speak about the evil of others. Imagine what would our condition be, my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam. Sometimes we are not the one being harmed. Someone else was harmed, or we heard someone else was harmed by this person, and then we the first one to spread rumors. Then we the first one to spoil the reputation of the person. Here Rasul sallallahu again indicating to the forgiving nature of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the surah. And this is the story behind why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed these beautiful two surahs of the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala briefly mentions, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, that say, I seek refuge with the Lord of the daybreak. Seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ulama has mentioned that the act of seeking refuge and protection necessarily consists of three parts. The act of seeking refuge itself. And we need to introspect it. When was the last time that we asked Allah for protection? We're living in times where we became dependent on our alarm system. We became dependent on our security. Whatever the case might be, we forget that Allah is the ultimate protector. We forget that Allah is the ultimate protector. So when was the last time I sought refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Many times we depend on other than Allah. So here the first thing Allah is telling us is seek refuge in Allah, the one who's the Lord of the daybreak. The one who's in control of the changing of the day and night. The second thing, the seeker of refuge. Me and you, we are the ones who should seek Allah's protection. Ask Allah to protect us against certain things. And also He whose refuge we sought. We need to build our yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As our yaqeen has become, it had decreased because of us depending on so many other things besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can reflect, and we on a personal basis, we can think that before we go to sleep, what do? We lock the door, we put on the alarm. Do we recite these ayat of protection? Do we recite ayatul kursi? Do we recite the du'as before sleeping? And which are all a means of protection for a person. So we need to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first lesson we learn, Allah is the ultimate protector, and we need to ask Allah for assistance and protection. By means of making dua and using these surah, to use it and recite it, and ask Allah the truth to protect us. Min sharri ma khalaq, from the evil, everything Allah has created that is evil. And here Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah mentions, that's referring to Jahannam, Shaitan and all of his progeny, and so many of the creation of Allah, which from amongst the jinn and from amongst the animal and from amongst the human beings itself. All of those things that can be a potential harm against a person, seek Allah's protection. That Allah should ask Allah to protect us against those evil. That one day a Sahabi came to Rasulullah and he was stung by a scorpion. And so Rasulullah responded. He says, if you have recited the dua, Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'ismi, the scorpion wouldn't have stung you. Again, teaching us the importance of this dua alone. That dua alone, it's a means of protection even from the harms of animals. So any evil or anything that poses a threat or a potential harm to a person, this surah is a means of protection against it. وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ, and from the evil of the dark when it penetrates. Meaning, the Mufassirun has mentioned that most of the crimes and acts of wickedness, it takes place at night. So many crimes and things happen at night because it is dark and people take chances at night. And for that reason, special mention has been regarding the evening, seeking Allah protection. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and from the evil of the woman who blow the knots. And they are not only the women, but men and women. Those people who goes to, especially in our time, it's become again frequent. And it's become a norm where people go to sangomas, for example. We find from amongst our own Muslim brothers going to sangomas, wanting people to cast spells upon the next person, was sending shayateen and sihr towards the next person. As the hadith that I've quoted mentioned, Rasulullah says, from amongst the 7 deadly sins is performing this magic, sihr. All of these fall under magic. So it's a major sin in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it should never be that we go to the extent where we want to cause harm upon that person, and we go to these fortune tellers, we go to the sangomas, we go to whatever the case may be, to cause harm upon that person. And many times they use knots and they will blow over it. Even the hadith of if shaitan, Iblis at night, shaitan also ties knots upon our heads. That when a person goes to sleep, as a hadith mentioned, when he wakes up for Fajr Salah, and the knot is untied. When he gets up to perform wudu, another knot is untied. When he goes for Fajr Salah, another knot is untied. So even shaitan, that is from the actions of shaitan. So don't ever get involved, my beloved brothers. You should never be involved in any sihr or sending any or visiting these people to perform black magic upon others. And then says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. We can go to a magician or we can go to the sangoma to create problems or to cause sihr, But also me and you as insan also have the ability to cause harm upon the next person. How? By showing hasad, jealousy towards the person. When we look at the favors of others with the eye of hasad, with an eye of jealousy, and what the ulama, how they explain jealousy, they say hasad means that a person should feel unhappy at the better fortune, superiority, or good quality that Allah has granted to another, and should wish that it should be taken away from the other person and given to him, or at least the other one should be deprived of it. So the ulama has mentioned that when a person has envy, when you see someone has something nice and you just have a feeling in your heart that Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed him. Allah has blessed him. It would be nice to have such a ni'mah from Allah that is not harmful. But at the same time, when we should say, MashaAllah, we should make Tabarakallah, may Allah bless you in the ni'mah. That is a means of protection from the person, from the evil eye. And then we find the next person, he sees the bounties and he desires the bounties of that person. But not only does he desire that bounty, but he wants Allah to take it away from the next person. He wants a person to be deprived of it. This is completely, totally haram. And another level, as the author has mentioned as well, is when a person sees something with the next person that he likes, and then he admires it, and then he wants the feeling in his heart that he doesn't necessarily want Allah to give it to him. He just wants Allah to take it away. He just wants the person to not have that bounty and ni'mah. And that is also even worse. That is also haram. That is also sinful. As Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, that when a person have hasad in your heart, it eats away your good deeds like how fire eats away wood, like how fire burns wood. That is the effect of jealousy in the heart of a person. It burns away the good deeds of a person. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us to be of those who will seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever we fear anything. The first one we need to turn to is ask Allah to protect us. And then we read these surah, some narration mentioned every morning, every evening before we go sleep. It's a means of protection for us. Some narration is mentioned also Qul Wallahu Ahad with it. So the three Quls, every morning, every evening, some mention after every salah, all a means of protection. And also to make sure that we don't have hasad and envy in our hearts for the next person. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us tawfiq and understanding, to make us of those who put into practice the best of our ability. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله.